New Mexico Voices for Children released its annual Kids Count report this week, and not much has changed from past years. New Mexico remains at the bottom of the nation in nearly every measure of child well-being in the report. But the data isn't just about kids. It's also a measure of how families are doing across the state. New Mexico's persistent high poverty rate is an important part of the report, but it also examines access to health care, education, and food. Correspondent Megan Kermick sat down this week to learn more about the report.
The Kids Count report is released every year on the opening of the legislature, and New Mexico Voices for Children advocates throughout the session for legislation to address the concerns raised in the report. Senior Policy Advisor Bill Jordan is with us now. Welcome, Bill.
Thanks. Good to be here, Megan.
So, New Mexico ranked 49th in child well-being nationally. What does the latest report tell us about the lives of children in New Mexico?
So the Kids Count report comes out a couple times a year, and in the summer the report comes out that ranks us nationally, and we're 49th. We're not doing well. This report is a little deeper dive into some of the local data within New Mexico, and it really tells us a lot more about how we're doing, how we could be doing, what's working and what's not. There's some good news and bad news in this report, and it really lets lawmakers know what's working.
Could you give us just sort of a overall kind of highlights of, like, what are we talking about when we're 49th? What does that look like?
So the Annie Casey Foundation nationally works with states to rank indicators of child well-being in 16 areas.
Okay.
And of those 16 areas, New Mexico, when you combine it all, New Mexico ranks 49th in child well-being. We're number 1 in child poverty. We're number 2 in childhood hunger. We have some real challenges. One of the real success stories in New Mexico is when we expanded Medicaid a couple of years ago. We cut our uninsured rate in half, and we rose dramatically in the rankings. So we know what works. When you make a step and change a policy and invest a little bit, then it makes a big difference. And healthcare is a good indication of how that worked for New Mexico. We're making a real progress in children's healthcare.
So it looks at the whole ecosystem in which a child lives. So it's not only like poverty, hunger, education levels, healthcare, but also how their families are faring who are taking care of these kids.
Families,
Yeah.
communities, housing, certainly economic security is a big one because it impacts a lot of other things like health and education.
So whether their parents can get a job, a full-time job, a living wage job to support
Right, whether
those
the
children.
kids are living in poverty and struggling and having those kinds of challenges that keep them back.
So we've talked about the Kids Count report in past years. The numbers seem to rarely change, including our ranking compared to other states. The report raises awareness, but that doesn't seem like it's enough anymore. What needs to happen to make real change?
We need to invest in our kids.
What does that look like?
Well, I'll give you an example of how we dropped to 49th. The recession was particularly hard on New Mexico. Other states used other strategies to recover from the recession.
But we were pretty low even before that.
We were
weren't
we were in the low 40s.
Okay.
Now we're in the high 40s, 49th. We dropped all the way to 50th during the recession. So the recession was really difficult for New Mexico, and we haven't come out of it yet. Part of the reason is that every time we got a few dollars, we gave it away in tax cuts. The governor likes to say she cut taxes 37 times, and we didn't get any jobs for those. So we didn't get a return.
And I will say, Bill Richardson also put personal income tax.
Bill Richardson cut personal income taxes, cut taxes many times. We opposed that. We wanted that money invested back into our communities, our families, our kids. It didn't happen. And so it's been a challenge fighting against I want to call them the suits, the lobbyists in Santa Fe who always have their hand out for tax cuts, and they seem to win the day a little more often than the needs of our kids and families and communities.
Now, some people would say the tax cuts have helped produce more jobs, or on the way to producing more jobs and diversifying our economy. We've seen some announcements like Facebook and other companies investing here. What do you say to that?
Well, I think that Facebook is not here necessarily because of anything that the state did to cut taxes. I don't think the evidence indicates that cutting taxes creates jobs. If you look at the states that cut taxes the most, like Kansas and New Mexico, we're near the bottom. We have the highest unemployment rate in the nation. So our strategy of giving away hundreds of millions of dollars didn't get us very far. What it resulted in is hundreds of millions of dollars in cuts to education, higher ed, health care, child care assistance is not back to where it was in 2008. Last year alone, we cut $400 million out of health care services for children, seniors, and the disabled. We've cut K-12 by over 12% per student in the last 10 years. We've cut higher ed by 35% per student. That's not a path to success for our kids.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there. How do you fight sort of an ongoing pessimism about New Mexico always being last in these kinds of rankings?
It's really
near
tough.
last.
It's really tough. I will say that I think there's a resilience among New Mexico families and communities. They know we can do better. We're not giving them right now the tools that they need. I will say that I believe there's a change in the works, and there is a real sense among leadership and lawmakers that we need to begin to invest in our own kids and families, and I think we're going to see that in this legislative session.
What are your priorities in this session?
Well, the big ones I think are full funding for Medicaid for health care services, and it looks like both the governor and the legislature are willing to do that. Child care assistance needs a significant new investment of $25 million, and it looks like that may happen. So we're pleased with that. We would like to see money go back into K-12 and higher ed that both have been pretty devastated these last few years, and I think all of that will make a difference. What we don't want to see is, now that lawmakers have a couple of extra dollars, we don't want them to say, oh, well, let's give that back to big corporations and tax cuts and try to create jobs. We've been doing that for years and it hasn't worked.
Well, on that surplus, which right now is roughly around $200 million, the Legislative Finance Committee says that it's not necessarily a slam dunk. There are a lot of uncertainties. We rely a lot on the energy industry. It's doing well now, but it's volatile. And also the federal income tax cuts could have real impacts on New Mexico. So is it time to invest more, or should we be a little bit more frugal or circumspect and build up reserves and things like that?
I think you're absolutely right that we should be cautious. The money is not guaranteed. All of this $200 million is projected to be there next year. And we've been down that road and had to come back and adjust the budget and make cuts. That's one of the reasons why we think it's better to put the money into the budget or into the reserves rather than give it away in tax cuts like they did in the past.
But you guys
that
would
dug us into a deeper hole.
You would like to see those some prioritization on things like education and early childhood for
Yes.
some of those extra funds, whatever extra we might have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Advocates like yourself often propose spending more money on these issues, like early childhood. What are other policy changes that don't get enough funding that you think would change outcomes for those in New Mexico?
Well, I think there's a lot of wraparound services. Child care assistance, for example, is not only good for the child, it's good for the family. Child care assistance, or child care itself, costs more than tuition at the University of New Mexico. There's no Pell Grants, there's no work study for 3-year-olds, so there's no lottery scholarship. Families really need help paying for child care assistance. So that would help not only the child's development, but the family economics. So that's a great example where we really need more support. It's a really wise investment. We need to increase minimum wage. That would help lift families out of poverty. We haven't had a minimum wage increase in about a decade.
Okay. Well, Bill Jordan with New Mexico Voices for Children, thank you for coming on New Mexico in Focus.
Thank you. Good to be here.